Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. And today, as we work back from the L, we have two big boxes of Victoria de Los Angeles, which I keep under L for Los Angeles. Yes, Los Angeles. Why not? The truth is, all of this stuff is now in the big Warner Victoria de Los Angeles box, which we've talked about. So, we don't have to spend a heck of a lot of time on this, but I should tell you it was in these previous releases, because one of the interesting things about hanging out down here in the Overflow Room is that we get to see some of the previous discographic history of these, classic recordings by various people. This is Songs of Spain. This is fabulous. Oh, wow, was this great. In a way, it was nicer having this in the big box because it was sort of dedicated, to a particular repertoire. Of course, you don't get, texts and things. You didn't get them here, you don't get them there. So what difference does it make? So I don't think you do. Let me see. Oh, I'm pretty sure there's nothing in here that's, well, maybe. It's a big book. Yes, you do get texts. Oh, my goodness, text and translations. Here they are. The other reason to keep these earlier sets. Absolutely. Yeah, well, okay. I knew I had a reason, another reason other than mere historical curiosity for hanging on to this stuff. Of course, putting the booklet back in the box is always a challenge. There we go. So we've got, what do we got? 4 discs here. And we have, let's see, traditional, medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque songs. With various accompanists and ensembles, medieval and Renaissance songs, 19th and 20th century arrangements and art songs, and Granados and Falla, songs and opera arias. That's disc 4. Recordings were made between 1951, 1972, 1985, and 1983. Apparently, that's where all this stuff comes from. And it's wonderful, wonderful stuff. It's sung magnificently, so that's great. Then we've got this box of thing here, the fabulous Victoria de Los Angeles, Ravel, Chausson, Debussy, Duparc with orchestra, and then we've got Montsalvace, Granados, Rodrigo, Mompu, Esplat, Toldra, and traditional with orchestra. That stuff actually is also in here. You get. It's a little duplicative. That's okay. Then, let's see. With piano, Debussy, Ravel, Falla, Hahn, Fauré, Toldra, Rodrigo, and Turina. And on disc 4, you have solos and duets by Socrates, Scarlatti, Handel, Schubert, Brahms, Fauré, Purcell, Haydn, J.C. Bach, Beethoven, Berlioz, Dvorak, Tchaikovsky, Saint-Saëns, and Mozart. Well, those are 2 lovely, lovely collections. And, back in the day, that was what was available. And it really was. You couldn't even find some of the original discs anymore. So, of course, I hung on to that stuff. Then we have, what's his name? Albert? Not his first name? Yeah, I always forget first names. Albert Lortzing. Lortzing, yeah. He lived from 1801 to 1851. He was one of the great German romantic opera composers before Wagner got hopping. And his music is really good. He said stories that people kind of, liked and fairy tale things and other stuff like that. For example, we have here Der Wildschutz comic opera in 3 acts. These are some wonderful performances. Robert Hager's the conductor. And it was done by the Orchestra of the Bavarian State Opera on Warner with Hermann Prey, Gisela Litz, Fritz Wunderlich, Anneliese Rothenberger. I mean, really, really good casts doing these wonderful local German operas. They didn't travel well, Lortzing. He didn't. His style was essentially Italian. Most German opera composers before Wagner were. Weber was one possible exception. But, there's good stuff here. His overtures are really nice. We have a disc of those coming up. So there's that one. Then Czar und Zimmermann, which is, king and chamber guy, page or one of those guys who takes care of your apartments and stuff in them. Major Domo, you want to call it that. Hermann Prey, Peter Schreier, Gottlob Frick, Erika Kurt, Annalisa Burmeister, Nikolai Getta. I mean, fabulous casts. These are worth hearing just for the singing, even if you're not a big fan of the opera. This one, Soren Zimmerman, was extremely popular. This comic opera, they're delightful pieces. They really are. Undine, which is a fairy tale opera. You know the story. It's Rusalka. It's Undine. It's she's a water sprite thing. It's a romantic fairy tale opera with Ruth Margaret Putz, Nikolai Getta, Hermann Prey, Sieglinde Wagner's in this one, Peter Schreier, Gottlob Frick, Annalisa Rothenberger. I mean, really, really fine singing. So that's Lortzing. I made sure to get those just because of the importance of the repertoire and for the German stage, and also because these are some amazing singers doing some of their best work. So yeah, that was a keeper. Then we've got a bunch of overtures with, oh boy, it doesn't even say who's doing it. Well, it does. It's all kinds of different people. The Berlin Radio Symphony, the Leipzig Radio Symphony, conducted by Heinz Rögner and Guhl and Neumann, Václav Neumann and Nissen and Feder, just a whole bunch of people. But look at the list of things here. Hans Sachs, as a Meistersinger, that's a separate thing. Regina, Der Pole und sein Kind, Undine, Der Waffenschmied. Oh yeah, the old Waffenschmied. Der Wildschutz and Soren Zimmerman. They're all here on this Marco Polo disc. And then, last but not least, that was Lortzing. We have to talk about Fernando Lopes-Graça, the Portuguese composer. Is a Portuguese sort of romantic nationalist, leftist kind of composer guy. And he wrote some lovely works. Here we have his viola concertino, the piano concertino, and his divertimento with the Budapest Philharmonic under Jandos Sándor on Strauss. Strauss was a Portuguese label, and they did mostly, they did Portuguese composers and Portuguese performers, artists, and people like that. So here we have these three works, which are really, really cool. The divertimento is for wind instruments, timpani, percussion, cellos, and double basses, which is really kind of nifty. It's an interesting piece. And here we have The Tragic History of the Sea and Travels Through My Country. The Tragic History of the Sea is sort of like it's a song cycle, orchestral extravaganza thing. Quite beautiful and powerful music, quite a bit of it too. It's for baritone, chorus, and orchestra. And then Travels Through My Country is two suites, Ma Vlast type thing, only they're shorter, more vignettes, Iberia, that kind of stuff. You know the drill. And the music is delightful. And again, these are performances by Hungarian forces, Budapest Phil, under Gyula Németh, and with some other people. Let's see, Oliveira Lopes is the baritone in the Tragic History of the Sea, with the Hungarian Radio Chorus, the Budapest Symphony, the Budapest Philharmonic, also on Strauss. Composer worth getting to know, Lopes-Graça. Keep him in mind, because you will find some very, very appealing music. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.